All right, what up, YouTube? This is the Crisscross Show. This is kind of a preview of what's going to happen today in this segment. So obviously, the NFC and the AFC championship games just happened, and I'm going to break those down and my opinions on the Super Bowl. I have a couple new segments or a couple new things that I want to talk about other than sports. This is the Crisscross Show, so I want to do mix and match with that. I am going to talk NBA, and I'm going to talk about a couple of other things, and I'm really excited to start. So let's get started. All right, so the NFL, NFC, and AFC championships, or Championship Sunday as we all call it, um, just happened. The Chiefs beat the Tennessee Titans soundly in the AFC Championship. They won 35-24. And the San Francisco 49ers, my team, beat the Green Bay Packers 37-20. And it wasn't close. First, I want to get started with the Chiefs. I saw the second half of the game. I didn't really catch the first half. I know the first half was mostly Titans, at least for the most part. For the better half, the Chiefs, they're just. I mean, we rave about Patrick Mahomes and his weapons. We rave about Tyreek Hill. We rave about Sammy Watkins. We rave about all those other guys that just at any moment can go off and are faster than the speed of light. They shouldn't even be in football. They should be in track or something because they are just lightning speed. But one thing I want to say is, Tennessee went in there knowing what their game plan was, and they were going to stick to it till death do them part. And literally death did them, because the Chiefs are a power throw team, right? That's all they do. Just one good throw and the game changes 360. And the Titans, they ran. And yes, you want to run in cold weather. You prefer to run in cold weather instead of forcing your quarterback to throw it downfield on cold days when the ball has no grip. But the Titans just, look at their quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. They didn't trust them. You want to look back at, the Minnesota Vikings not too long ago when they had Case Keenum. They were relying on Case Keenum too much, and it ended up biting them when they lost the NFC Championship. I think it was to, who was that team that went to the Super Bowl? I think it was the Philadelphia Eagles. It was bad quarterback versus bad quarterback. One of them was going to win, right? So it had to be Saint Nick. But yeah, just going back to Ryan Tannehill, not really trusting him as much, kind of putting your faith on Derrick Henry, who's kind of taken the beating over the past 2 weeks, especially against Baltimore, especially against New England. It was kind of a lot to ask for him, especially against Kansas City Chiefs, a team that is just can light you up in like 2 seconds. So, congratulations to Kansas City Chiefs. We all knew they were going to win. We just didn't know how they were going to win. We didn't know if they were going to blow them out. We didn't know if there was going to be a close game. But congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs. In their 50-year drought of no Super Bowl. They've never hosted an AFC Championship game. They did that in 2 years in a row. And, in Patrick Mahomes' first 2 years, he does all that. First 2 years as a starter, he does all that. Congrats to Patrick Mahomes, the former MVP. And congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all I really got to say about them. Shifting gears to the 49ers and the Packers. Jimmy G versus Aaron Rodgers. This is the matchup we wanted. We didn't want no Drew Brees. We didn't want no Kirk Cousins in the NFC Championship. We wanted these two guys, the two best quarterbacks in the NFC, in my opinion. I've loved Aaron Rodgers for a long time. I have stopped liking him after his cryptic tweets, cryptic messages to the media. He kind of drives me crazy when he does stuff like that. So I've kind of shied away from Aaron Rodgers. But Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan, George Kittle, these guys. Just to come together and their defense to just do what they did to the Packers was crazy. Yes, the Packers got 20 points out of it, but the last 14 points the Packers got out, or the 13 points Packers got out of it, weren't that great. They were just kind of like petty points because the game was already out. San Francisco kind of was pushing back a little bit. Like any great quarterback, he's gonna light a spark on his team and he's gonna bring them at least close. Um, but yeah, I mean, going to the 49ers, I mean, their team, it's been 2 to 3 years since they've been rebuilding and, drafting Nick Bosa last year at number two, um, getting Jimmy Garoppolo, signing Richard Sherman, trading for Emmanuel Sanders midway through the season. I mean, just all these pieces that came together, all the pieces that they needed. I think it's John Lynch, some credit for bringing this team together, and give credit to Kyle Shanahan for leading this charge. But the Packers were 13-3. The 49ers were 13-3 in the regular season. I mean, it was only a match made in heaven for this, and it was a good game. 49ers came out, were up 20-0, 27-0, I think, at one point. It was just crazy to really see that, they were just blowing out the Packers, especially Aaron Rodgers. So that was one of the most craziest things. I mean, these games were very, very high scoring. The teams we knew were going to win won, which is great. And the teams that, in my opinion, I said were going to win won. I would have loved to see Tennessee win just because they're a great Cinderella story. We all need a Cinderella story every once in a while. And, Packers, 49ers, just two, titans going at it. So it was great to see. Really excited to see the Super Bowl. I can't really give a prediction right now because I just think, both teams played so great. I am going to favor the 49ers just because of that terrific defense and how they just swallowed the Packers. But they did slip a little bit, which does scare me, which makes me still a little even about that. It's still too early to tell. For sure, next week I'll give my predictions before the actual game. And I just kind of wanted to get into that. Just kind of wanted to congratulate both teams. I thought it was great. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, threw 11 times in this game. So he didn't throw a lot. They relied on the running game. And like Kyle Shanahan said, we did it because it worked. I mean, if it works, why, if it works, why, try to fix it. So that's kind of a motto a lot of us live by. And I think that turned out to be really great. I mean, they blew some clock and, it was just in their favor. And I'm just really, really proud of the 49ers and how they got it done against Green Bay. All right, so I talk a lot about sports, and just to kind of shy away from sports for a little bit, I've been getting some requests, people saying that all I do is I talk about sports and I just ram my mouth about sports. So I kind of want to get into, I got two things. One is sports, the other one is just kind of fashion. Or in my opinion, or you can give me your opinion on the comments below. Brands, best brands. So I have my top 5 best brands. Obviously, there's a million brands in the world. I don't think Kohl's brands or JCPenney brands matter. But my top 5 brands, first is Puma. And the reason why I put Puma in my top 5 is because they had a basketball shoe that came out not too long ago. They were the Puma Clydes. They were this like South Beach color. And the South Beach color was, I don't know, like it was just amazing. Like a guy wanted a pair. It was relatively cheap. It was like, buyer friendly, and it was great in my opinion. And I don't know. I mean, I just really loved it. And I think Puma's a great brand. I mean, it signs a lot of great basketball players like Kyle Kuzma and Danny Green. I mean, the Lakers, obviously. So, like I said, I've always liked Puma. I've always just liked the logo, just the Puma, like, kind of hopping. In my opinion, when I was a little kid, I always wanted to have a Puma shirt. I never did, but, that's all in the past. Number 4, and I might get some heat for this, is Champion. Because I remember Champion back in when I was a little kid. Champion was like a store brand. Now like everyone's wearing. Like I was at a basketball tournament today, and I saw like just a bunch of people wearing Champion sweaters, Champion pants, and it's just like it's a brand that's on the rise. And honestly, I'm actually mad I didn't pop on the trend before everyone else did, and everyone's wearing it now, and that's all I see in school, or it's all I see anywhere I go now. So, um, kudos to Champion for sticking around for that long, and now they're finally popular. Now they're finally here, and that's great for them. Next one, number three, and this may cause a lot of controversy. Adidas. Um, Adidas, I say because in college sports and in high school sports, we wore Adidas clothing. And so I was kind of just like gravitated towards Adidas because um, it was, it was the brand that we all wore. So, and I had some Adidas pants, some Adidas joggers that I wore for a very, very long time. I bought a pair of Adidas one time shoes, and I really liked them. Um, and yeah, that's just my opinion. Like I've always, like we've always like every set of clothing I ever owned, like shirts, workout clothes was always Adidas. So Adidas. Um, so yeah, I mean, I like their commercials too. They're pretty cool, but I got to give them number three. My number two is Under Armour. Um, Under Armour because whenever I would work out or do something athletic wise, I always liked wearing the Under Armour long sleeve turtlenecks. Whenever I would run in cross country, I'd always wear it over, and it always just felt cool. I liked it. I love the logo. I barely found out the logo was a U and an A not too long ago, so that's kind of where I'm at in life. But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. I own a pair of Under Armour joggers and they're great. I own shirts and I love working out in them. I love the feeling of them. I own a couple water resistant sweaters that my friends would always kill me about. How do you wash them if they're water resistant? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I never washed them when I was in high school, so that's yeah. It's just my opinion on that. Number one, obviously Nike. I have about 18 pairs of LeBrons, and they're all Nike. I have about two pairs of Air Forces, a couple of like Nike dress shoes, um, and then yeah, I mean, I just wear Nike all the time. I try to wear Nike all the time. I have a Nike hat on right now. And I just wear Nike all the time. I mean, I like having Nike. I just like the swoosh. I think I think I should be sponsored by Nike in my opinion. It's just everywhere in my house. I have Nike socks, that I don't wear as often, but I have a bunch of Nike shoes. I mean, if you ever see me wearing a pair of shoes, any pair of shoes, it's Nike. Um, just like my casual wear is Nike shoes. So even my running shoes are Nike. So just try to keep it with the swoosh. Just trying to keep it. Just do it. Um, and that's all I really got to say about my top five brands. If you have another brand that you can, maybe convince me on, I'd be all ears, and I'd be all ears about this. So yeah, that's kind of my off segment about something not related to sports. So yeah. All right, just to kind of do a quick segment on the NBA and kind of give you my top five. Um, so last week when I was on here, I said my top five was the Miami Heat, the Utah Jazz, the Clippers, the Bucks, and the Lakers. That has changed. In the sense that Miami's moved out of my top five, and it's kind of hard to really pick. Miami's moved out of my top five, while the Denver Nuggets have slipped in. I will give the Denver Nuggets my top five in my five because it's how they play. They just pass the ball, they move around, they go quick. They've got all these young guys that are great in the regular season. I mean, they're 29-12. They've been around, and it's kind of great to see them being around. I'm not a huge fan of Denver by all means, but I just think the way they play, it's sneaky, And when they get you at home, when you're kind of like on a road trip, they're gonna get you. Um, and they're sneaky with that. Um, and that's just why I put them in my top five. My four, I am gonna give it to Utah, even though Utah's like 10 game win streak was snapped, and they are the fourth seed in the West. I do give Utah the edge because, um, since the addition to Jordan Clarkson, I think they lost like maybe twice. And I love Jordan Clarkson. I loved him when he was with the Cavaliers and he was with LeBron. I wish he did more when he was with LeBron, but he didn't. He kind of didn't show up at all. But I give Utah just because they've been playing great, and I think that what they're doing now. Quinn Snyder's been really great with them. I just think they're playing good team basketball, and that's why I give them. That's why I keep them at four. Three, I'm gonna go with the LA Clippers again. I'm gonna keep them in three because I think the LA Clippers. They're missing Paul George, and I think that's why I haven't put them in my top two. And even though as much as it irks me to put them in my top two, I don't put them in my top two because they they're inconsistent. Like some nights they'll be like they look like they can't beat, and other nights looks like this team is the one that's talking about winning championships. So yeah, just the Clippers. It's a love hate relationship with the way they play. Very very kind of streaky. Even though they're 13 and even though they're 30-13, they're still kind of streaky to me. I saw their game against the Pelicans yesterday, and they were down for most of the game, and they come out and win. I mean, that's the same problem with the Lakers, but just them. I'm a little cringy about them. My top two, they switched. I'm gonna give the Lakers number two mainly because of that loss to Orlando on Wednesday. A loss that they shouldn't have lost. I mean, yeah, they're missing AD, but they had won 3 games without AD. And I think that game they just gave it away. They were up by 5 at one point late in the fourth quarter and just ended up giving it up. Markelle Fultz just took him down himself. And they're sitting at 34-8, and I really love the Lakers because they got my guy LeBron, but it's kind of hard when they're inconsistent, when they don't play defense until the fourth quarter, and they just are very very inconsistent with how they play basketball. They had a good win against Houston, and I have problems with Houston as it is. I'll get into that later, but yeah, I don't know. Right now they're missing AD. Once they get AD back, I think they'll be fine. The Bucks, and I'm gonna give the Bucks number one. As cringy as it sounds, they have won 6 in a row. They are 38-6. I mean, what can you really say about that? They're probably gonna win like 66 games this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 66 or more. They are gonna have home court throughout the entire playoffs. I give them that because they just play great team basketball. Giannis has guys that he can kick out to. He can Brook Lopez can stretch the floor, which gives Giannis a lot of room, which is great. Which makes me think Giannis is like a broken version of LeBron because Giannis has all these shooters around him, and that's how LeBron's teams are built. Is you just have a lot of shooters around LeBron. So I am gonna give the Bucks number one just because of that. They are 20-2 at home, so you can't really beat them in the form. So that's just what I think. And obviously, whoever they face in the first round of the playoffs, if they keep the first seed, which it probably looks like they are, it's going to be an easy 4-game sweep. I mean, in my opinion, the 8th seed is just pathetic. 8th seed has been pathetic for a while in the NBA, especially the way the league has changed now. So, yeah. Those are my top 5 in the NBA. And also, just to kind of go back to what I said about Houston, watching them really closely, and I've watched a couple of Houston games. I've watched like a handful of Houston games this year, and it's bad. Like, if you thought Chris Paul didn't work, adding a guy who's more ball dominant, like Russell Westbrook, and credit to Mike D'Antoni for keeping Harden and Westbrook off the court as much as possible. And I saw that yesterday. Like, I saw Westbrook, like, first 5 minutes into the game go out. Then James Harden goes out. And then Westbrook comes in. So they're always one of them is always in, which is great. And I think it's great because they're both ball dominant. So I think that's the only way they can be successful, and it's worked for the most part. I mean, Houston's currently 6th seed, 26-15. I mean, lost 3 in a row. They're just pure talent at this point. I just think it's Russell Westbrook and James Harden and a bunch of guys who are just going to be forced to shoot a lot of uncomfortable shots down the stretch. Because, when the paint closes in the playoffs and teams start to tighten up, Russell Westbrook and James Harden, they're just going to defer to someone else. And the supporting cast is going to suffer in that, in my opinion. They're just going to be taking a lot of uncomfortable, a lot of late shots. Just be standing in the corner, just kind of freezing themselves in the corner, just watching them go at it. So yeah, like I said, watching the Rockets, I mean, they were up big against the Lakers, and they somehow lose big against the Lakers. So credit to the Lakers for kind of exposing that. And I think the Rockets are great for the regular season. I think they're a great show. I think they got 2 guys that can go 100 miles per hour. But I don't know, just playoff wise, I can't fall in love with them. All right, so this is the segment I wanted to save towards the end, and it'll probably take a while, but this is my segment where I was really, really excited about when I was making this, is the top 10 teams, in my opinion, in the 2010s that never won a championship. And yes, we can go on and say, every team that makes it to the championship that didn't win is the best team that didn't make it, that didn't win. But yes, there are some teams that made it far, but they had no right in being there. Like, they just were there about a pure luck. I mean, you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC Championship not too long ago, and everyone was like, "Oh!" And then the next year, I mean, they just bench Blake Bortles and they just start tanking. And then the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion, are another team like that. Cool Cinderella story, makes the AFC Championship, doesn't win. I think next year they're gonna kind of blow off or not be as great. But anyways, top 10 teams to never win a championship in the 2010s is, I'm going to give it to the 2013-2014 Indiana Pacers, because they had, I think, top 5 defense in the league. Frank Vogel was their coach. I mean, we all know he's a defensive coach. And Paul George, up-and-coming star, who's giving LeBron problems in the playoffs 2 years in a row. I mean, I just think that team, if it wasn't for LeBron, they would have went to the finals and maybe won a game or two against San Antonio those couple years. But that's just my opinion. Pacers at number 10. Number 9, I'm going to give credit to all the Bulls fans here. The 2011 Chicago Bulls. Unfortunately, guess who they ran into? LeBron James and the Miami Heat. MVP Rose, Joakim Noah, I think Taj Gibson, all these other young players, Kirk Heinrich. MVP year for Derrick Rose, number 1 seed in the East, looked tough in the regular season, made it to the conference finals, stole game 1, and then just proceeded to lose 4 in a row, just to kind of put that out there. But yeah, you have an MVP in Derrick Rose, number 1 seed. I mean, everyone thinks you're hot. So, number 9 is the Chicago Bulls. Number 8, switching to football, 2013 San Francisco 49ers. They lost in the Super Bowl where the lights went out. Somebody forgot to pay the bill. They were 11-4-1 that year. They had key wins against Green Bay, New England, and Seattle. Obviously, they split the season with Seattle. They had 9 Pro Bowlers that year, which is why I think they should have won. They faced the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, it was in Joe Flacco's contract year, so Joe Flacco was going off that year. So, yeah, I give the San Francisco 49ers number 8 in that spot. Number 7, the 2017 Green Bay Packers. 2016-2017 Green Bay Packers. They lost in the NFC Championship to the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons blew them off the floor or off the field. They were 10-6. They did start the season 6-0. Had a little 4-game skid and then proceeded to win their next. I think, they went 4-2 the last 6 games. So, give them credit for that. I don't know. It was just a weird year that year. Like, they started 6-0, then they lose 4, and then they go 4-2, and it was just weird. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers went off a couple games in the playoffs. So that was just my opinion. I just think that the Packers should have, beaten the Falcons. I mean, Matt Ryan had no purpose in being in that Super Bowl. Number 6, the 2014 Miami Heat. They got blown off the floor by a record margin to the San Antonio Spurs, which hurt me, and which kicked LeBron out of Miami. He ran to Cleveland. I think that Miami Heat team was great. I mean, they brought the same team that they brought back from the 2013 year. Having Ray Allen, Mike Miller, Shane Battier. I just think that team should have won. I mean, they had LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. Anytime you have a big three, you should win. But yeah, that team just fell apart in the finals. I mean, they looked dominant against Indiana in the conference finals, but they lost. I mean, the San Antonio Spurs just played team basketball. They just moved the ball around, having the Miami Heat swinging around, and they just blew them out. So, 2014 Miami Heat is my number 6. Number 5, the 2018 New England Patriots. They were 13-3 that year. Tom Brady, I think, was MVP. And I don't know. I just think that, I think it was the year after Deflategate or the year before Deflategate. And I just think that, New England Patriots lost to Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles. No reason to lose to them. And yeah, I mean, I just think that they should have won that Super Bowl. I mean, that Super Bowl was Tom Brady's to win. So I'll give them number 5. Number 4, the 2014 Denver Broncos. They were 13-3 that year. It was like Peyton Manning's MVP year. Peyton Manning was just threw for something amount of yards and threw these many touchdown passes. So it was theirs to win. I remember watching that Super Bowl. They lost like 43-8. It was just atrocious. It was gross to look at. Seattle Seahawks just blew them off the field, and it was just a pathetic Super Bowl to watch, in my opinion. Number 3, the 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder. They were babies. And we all say, like, Kevin Durant was 24, 23. James Harden was in, like, his second year. Russell Westbrook was young, too. And, they lost to the Miami Heat. Another team that lost in LeBron's path to greatness. And, yeah, I just think that the Oklahoma City Thunder were young. They were in the playoffs the year before, so they had playoff experience. They were in the playoffs. They beat, I think, maybe Dirk, and I think they might have beaten Kobe in those playoffs too. But yeah, I mean, they were babies back then. I mean, they didn't really know how to win. I mean, it was all their first experience but Kevin Durant went off, so I'll give him credit for that. 2, the 2018 New York Yankees. They lost to the eventual champions, the Boston Red Sox. Boston Red Sox got called for cheating as well, so who knows. I think the 2018 New York Yankees won 100 games, and they were a wild card team. I remember them because they blew off the Indians. They pulled the upset. They were down 2-0, and they ended up coming back and winning 3-2 against the Cleveland Indians. They won. No, was that the year? No. That was the year before. That was the 2017 Yankees. The 2018 Yankees lost to the Red Sox in the AL, which were the eventual champions. But they won 100 games. I remember they were a wild card, and I remember there was a couple of people that were mad that the Indians won 91 games and the Yankees won 102 games that year. So yeah, probably one of the best wild cards ever. So yeah, I give the 2018 Yankees a number 2 spot. Number 1, obviously the 2016 Golden State Warriors. 73-9 speaks for itself. Best regular season finish in NBA history. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, unanimous MVP. I mean, that team was up 3-1 against Cleveland. They were down 3-1 against Oklahoma. I mean, what are the odds of 3-1 comebacks in two series for them? I mean, being on both ends for them, and I just think 73-9, you basically blow to the NBA Finals with the exception of the Oklahoma City Thunder series. But I mean, you have no reason to lose. I mean, you're up 3-1. And you go back home. You don't have Draymond Green, but still, you should still win. Like, I don't care that Draymond Green is in the athletic stadium watching the game and waiting and waiting and waiting. I just think that you need to close that game out. And for them to lose to the Cavaliers like that is the main reason why Kevin Durant went there. Because they just knew once LeBron got on that path to greatness, he was not going to lose. And that's why I give the Golden State Warriors my number one spot. Because they just flat out shouldn't have lost. And those are my top 10 teams in the 2010s that never won a championship. All right, to kind of close out the show, I had really, really a lot of fun talking about, my top 5 favorite brands and my top 5 or my top 10 teams that never won championships. Just to kind of, let you guys know what's going to happen in the next couple weeks is obviously I'm going to be talking about a lot about football next week specifically, and then maybe in 2 weeks from now, and then I'll be kind of done with football for the season. I'm obviously going to keep going on with the NBA. But, one of the couple things that I want to talk about more is, the best things that never happened, like in my opinion. Whether it's, from other celebrities or, sports, in my opinion. Best foods, in my opinion. I'd love to give you guys my opinion on that. I'd love to do some more cooking stuff as well. I really want to show you guys this broccoli cheddar sticks that I think are really, really delicious. Also, I want to show you guys my top 5 favorite shoes. I'm not really a sneakerhead if I just collect one set of shoes, which is LeBron's. Also, top 5 most influential people in my opinion. Top 5 games growing up. I mean, playing video games was my life back in when I was, like a little young kid. So, in my top 5 favorite jerseys, I own a couple of jerseys that I'd love to show you guys, just in my opinion, and kind of the background story to getting those. Top 5 stores. I mean, it could be anything like Target, Kohl's, JCPenney, anything. So I just kind of want to get into that just because this is the Crisscross Show. I don't want to just be talking about sports. I want to be talking about other things. I want to be talking about things that mattered, people's lives. I am in no way, shape, or form to be giving dating advice, so I definitely will not be getting into that. I would love to definitely have some guests on the show to kind of just talk about anything. So if you do get to this, far into the video, I would greatly appreciate it if you can, comment, subscribe, anything. Just give me some opinions, something I should talk about, other things that maybe, you're opinionated on, that you'd love for me to cover. So, yeah, until next time, until next week, or until, the next cooking show, who knows when that's going to happen. This is Chris signing off on the Crisscross Show.